are you doing? My name is Angel, and I like all things that are mysterious. So, I do want to check the stream, but I think I have to let it run for a minute because I feel like I'm going in too soon. So anyways, first things first, I'm wearing scrubs. Today was orientation day. It went amazing. I am still very impressed. Fingers crossed that just continues. That'd be great. But look at, I'm wearing Betty Boop. I love Betty Boop. It's so cute. So anyways. Oh, now I could probably check my stream because now I just got the notification about my own stream. Wonderful. Okay, so now that I know that we're in here, we're just gonna get right into it. I had a great day today. Oh, you know what else I did today? So today was orientation day. I'm very impressed with the company because the owners of the company were there interacting with us during this orientation. No owners do that. I've had so many jobs. I've never had an owner just come sit down and talk to me and try to get to know me as a person. What? That doesn't happen. That never happens. So fingers crossed, this is going great so far. But on my way home, well, actually I had to go get my daughter from my dad's house after I left orientation. There was a car stalled on the side of the road. So me, I pull over, I park, I put my hazards on, and I go out and I'm trying to help this kid push this car. This other lady comes up, we're trying to push this car. So but we're on a very steep incline, so we had everything against us. So me, another lady that had stopped, and the guy that owned the car, his girlfriend was in the driver's seat steering. We're trying to push this car up a hill. A cop sees us, he flips a U, he turns his lights on, pulls up behind us, and he gets out, and we're like, hey, we need help. He comes over, he helps us push this car onto the side road. And then I'm like, have a great day, and I got back in my car, and I went to my dad's house, and it's been a great day. That was my good deed for the day. That's it. I guess that's just what I'm supposed to do now. I'm like, well, yep, I can help you. Because over the winter, my car died at a light, and a lot of people drove by me, and there was a snowstorm in the middle of it too, you know, and people were driving by me. I had one guy stop and offer help, and I told him by that time, I was like, no, I was like, it's okay. I called a tow truck to come give me a tow. It was a really bad snowstorm. It was like December, January, I don't remember. Anyways, it was a really bad storm. Tow truck driver said he's gonna be a while. My car is completely dead. There's no heat, and I had my daughter in the back seat with me. So I call my boyfriend, see if he can give me a jump. We weren't able to get it jumped to drive it home. The next day, he had taken me to work. That's when I was working at Walmart. And he dropped me off, and he stopped where we had to leave my car at for the night, and it started right up for him. What? He drove it home. What? I don't know why I took it back out after that. You know, it's just stupid stuff. It is what it is. Lesson learned. You know what it was? The alternator. I bought a brand new battery. I spent money I didn't have. I spent $160 on this battery, and my car still wouldn't start. It started, it ran till the battery died. The alternator was almost $200 as well. So about $400 later, I shouldn't have no more problems with my battery or my alternator. So anyways, enough talking, enough stories, my stories. I have stories for days though, but we don't want to talk about me. Let's get into these true crime cases with unexpected plot twists, shall we? That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for anyways. So, oh, there's a little picture. She's adorable. I don't know who this lady is, but she's super cute. Look at how cute she is. She's so cute. Look at her little hat. She's got one of the little bucket hats. So anyways, it says true crime cases with unexpected plot twists. From Agatha Christie to Clue, everybody loves a good whodunit. Oh, dude, me and my sister just went to Tinker's Swiss Cottage in April. Yeah, it was April. And we did that murder mystery event there. That was awesome. That was so awesome. I had such a good time. It was great being back in the Tinker's Swiss Cottage, too. So anyways, that just made me so happy. It says, whodunit mystery with a surprise ending. But sometimes truth is even stranger than fiction. Many of these true crime stories seem like open and shut cases. Too often, though, the public can jump to conclusions, ignoring all other possibilities. When investigators do the same, they set themselves up for a major plot twist and sometimes even wrongful convictions. You know, it happens. We all know. True crime junkies may have heard of some of these mind-boggling mysteries in the many rabbit holes of the internet, but others have flown completely under the radar. From the disturbing cases to the ones with happy endings to the multiple cases involving bubblegum. Bubblegum. All of these unbelievable true crime plot twists will leave your head spinning. Oh, this one came with a picture. Peter Hill from Flickr. Look at this picture. Oh, no. We don't want ads. We want to see the picture. A little house ablaze. First story. Police said 10-day-old Delamar Vera perished in a house fire, but her mother was convinced she'd been abducted. Just before Christmas in 1997, a fire started in the Philadelphia home of Luz Cuevas. I'm sure I botched that. I'm so sorry. Fighting through the smoke and flames, she ran into the room where her 10-day-old daughter, Delamar, was sleeping in her crib, but saw no sign of her. Suffering burns to her face and at risk of passing out from smoke inhalation, she got out of the house with her 2 other children. Firefighters quickly put the blaze out, which was primarily contained to the baby's room. After an initial search for the newborn, authorities determined she had perished in the fire, which they said was caused by an overheated extension cord on a space heater. Human remains were never found in the debris. So how are they going to say that there was a baby in there if they didn't even find the remains? Well, anyways, but investigators concluded any remains had been incinerated in the flames. That's not true. That is not true. It doesn't matter how hot it is. So think about cremation. Now just remember, I got experience with this shit. So when you are cremated, okay, you burn down to the bone. Okay? The only thing that's left is bone. Okay? The bigger pieces of bone, they will grind down. Okay? And they put that all into the cremation bag. Okay? Probably more than you needed to know, but I don't believe that, because if bone could be incinerated, then why do they grind bone? Okay, and I know this process because I've been through this process. Okay, just saying. I'm finding some problems with that because they're, you know, a lot of the times too, even despite the, you know, me knowing the cremation process, because I asked too many questions because I wanted to know what the fuck was going to happen to my mom. I was like, so what's the process? And she looked at me, and remember, I'm a medical assistant. I'm medical at heart, dude. Like, you can sit here and tell me this shit. I know it's going to be fucking bad, but I need to know. Like, I need to know. It's the least, I don't know why she died. At least I can know what the fuck you're going to do to her, okay? That's it. And me and my sister literally were there throughout that whole process. So anyways, blah, 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 blah. Oh, also, while I'm on this point, think about how many times people try to burn bodies, right? And how hard it is to burn a body, and how hot and long it has to burn in order for it to be just down to the bone. There's that, okay? Oh my God. So anyways, I don't believe that. I went on a whole tangent about that, but I don't, no. I mean, are baby bones flammable? That'd probably be the only thing, okay? So anyways, human remains were never found in the debris, but investigators concluded any remains had been incinerated in the flames. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Cuevas, however, insisted that her child had been kidnapped, but because there was no evidence of a kidnapping aside from her desperate pleas, it was considered a closed case. For 6 years, Cuevas mourned the loss of her child and wondered what had truly become of her. In 2003, at a birthday party for an acquaintance, Cuevas saw a little girl who looked strikingly like her other children and was the exact same age as her lost Delamar. She was able to obtain some of the girl's hair that day under the ruse of getting bubblegum out of her hair. With assistance from a state legislator, she had police open an investigation and test the hair for DNA. The test proved that 6-year-old Aaliyah Hernandez was actually her daughter, Delamar Vera. Shut the front door, dude. The woman who kidnapped Delamar was Carolyn Correa. Oh, I'm sure I said that wrong. I can't roll my R's, so there's that. A cousin of the child's father, Pedro Vera. Cuevas and Correa had only met the day before the fire. When Correa, it's with a C too, so I'm sure I said it wrong, came by the house. The following day, Correa returned, claiming she had left her purse upstairs. The blaze started as Correa left the house. Ah, that's dirty. Delamar, still going by Aaliyah, was reunited with her parents the next year, who were both given custody. Well, yeah, it's rightfully their daughter. They should have custody of their daughter. If that DNA test proved that that's their daughter, yeah, I don't see why anybody could. Anyways, her abductor was convicted of kidnapping, arson, and other crimes. Oh, I don't know what that is. Okay, so anyways, the second story. Oh, there's so many ads. I'm protecting you guys from the ads. That's it. You guys don't have to deal with that and get to hear the story and not see all these mind-blowing ads. Anyways, so this is the one with the cute little picture of the lady from the beginning with her little bucket hat. So anyways, it says, oh, there's no way I'm gonna be able to pronounce her last name, but I'm gonna give it a go. Dolly Ostrich claimed her husband was killed by a burglar, but it was actually her lover, whom she kept locked up in the attic. Shut the front door. Shut the front door. A petrified wife locked in the closet. Her husband shot dead, lying on the bedroom floor. That was a scene police officers discovered after responding to reports of shots fired in a Southern California home in 1922. It looked like a robbery gone wrong, and that was the wife's story. But the tale of Dolly Ostrich was far more complex. Walburga Dolly Ostrich and Fred William Ostrich had been married for about 25 years at the time of the shooting. Fred worked long hours and often preferred laying his hands on a bottle of whiskey over his wife. Oof. Oof, that's rough. That's rough, I'm sorry. So one day, when Fred sent Otto Sandhuber, a 17-year-old working at his factory, over to the house to repair Dolly's sewing machine, Otto and Dolly began having an affair. Shut up. Shut up. But with nosy neighbors and the inconvenience of hotel rooms, the two were perplexed as to how they could see each other often without getting caught. Then Dolly had the idea to hide Otto in her attic. So I have a question, okay? He's 17 years old. Weren't his parents looking for him? That's all I want to know. That's all I want to know, okay? Wow. Anyways, during the day, Otto and Dolly would cavort. I don't know. Well, anyways, around the house, make bathtub gin. That sounds like a blast. and spend as much time together as they liked. At night, Otto would retreat to his tiny lair to write pulp fiction novels and hide until the following day. When the ostriches moved from Milwaukee to Los Angeles, Dolly's secret attic lover moved with them. That's one. Did they just put him in the back of a U-Haul? Well, no, this is 1922. How the hell did she get him from Milwaukee to Los Angeles without anybody knowing? Wow. Anyways, so many questions. One night, Otto heard Dolly and Fred arguing loudly. He came to his lover's defense with a pistol. A struggle over the guns ensued, and Fred was shot and killed. Otto set the scene by locking Dolly in the closet and hiding himself away in the attic, along with the guns. For years, police believed Dolly's story of a robbery gone wrong, as there was simply no evidence in the contrary. That is, until nearly a decade after the murder, when a subsequent boyfriend of Dolly's admitted to police that she'd asked him to ditch a gun in the nearby tar pits, and a neighbor came forward saying she had similarly asked him to bury a gun for her. Why didn't she just do that shit herself? I have so many questions. Anyways, though Dolly had both another boyfriend and another husband, Otto had continued to live in the attic for much of the decade. She was still keeping this kid in the fucking attic, dude. What? No. But by the time authorities had enough evidence to arrest Otto, the statute of limitations on manslaughter charges had run out, and a hung jury failed to find Dolly guilty of conspiracy. Wait. I have to remember, well, they said some years later, so a decade. So originally it started in 1922. So a decade. So let's just say 1932. There was a statute of limitations on murder back then. Honestly, I didn't think that there was a statute of limitations on murder. Am I wrong? I mean, I'm not law. Remember, I'm not law. I don't claim to know much about law. And the little bit that I do know pertains around child custody and child support and stuff like that. And that's only because I went through the shit. And a divorce. So I know the process for a divorce because I've been through that too. But other than that, I don't know anything. I could be wrong. But I really do believe that there is no statute of limitations on murder. I could be wrong. Okay? If I'm wrong, please school me in the comments because I would love to know. Anyways, we're going to keep going. Both walked free, although they seemingly went their separate ways at last. I'm surprised she didn't just keep him locked up in the attic for the rest of her life. She had a whole nother boyfriend and a husband and kept that boy up in the fucking attic of a whole new house. She moved him across the country. Like, that's insane to me. That's seriously insane to me. Well, hi there. Hi there. So we just heard about a lady that locked a guy up in the attic for many years. Really never said how many years. It said a decade. But I think he was in there for more than that because she moved him across the country. I'm still not understanding how the hell she got away with moving him across the country with her husband and him not finding this. This is 1920s. Like, I don't understand. Okay, so anyways, let's keep going. The next story says, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, Sandra Boss didn't discover her husband's true identity for 11 years. I just watched a TikTok story about a lady that was saying, who the fuck did she marry? Like, she had no idea about this man she had married, and she went on and like had, I don't remember how many stories, but I watched the whole thing. There was like 20 different videos, and it was just every time there was a video, it was another fucking twist in that. Like, this man wasn't who he said he was. He pretended that he was his twin brother. There was a lot more stuff about that. So I just fucking read that story on TikTok. Oh yeah, by the way, I also have a TikTok, but I don't post on there regularly. YouTube's where I post at regularly. Just so you know. It's not like you're missing anything over there. In fact, they only get snippets from what's originally on YouTube anyways. So anyways, let's find out about Sandra Boss didn't discover her husband's true identity for 11 years. Oh, there's a picture of him too. So here's a picture of what this man looks like. Okay. It says, in the mid-90s, Stafford graduate Sandra Boss was getting her MBA at Harvard when her sister introduced her to a man named Clark Rockefeller, descendant of the famous business family. Oh, I was wondering. He wore custom-made designer clothing, collected expensive art, and had an upscale New York apartment. Boss was charmed, and the two married shortly thereafter. Boss and Rockefeller spent the next 11 years together. They enjoyed a stable life thanks in large part to Boss's job as a consultant and personal wealth. Oh, so he married into wealth. Okay. The two had a daughter, Rye Storrow Mills Rockefeller. Oh, that's one hell of a long name. Lovingly referred to as Snooks in 2001. But their marriage soon began to crack. Rockefeller was a stay-at-home dad and didn't hesitate to spend Boss's money to keep up his appearances. Oh, so he wasn't even working. Let's be real here. And Boss was often baffled when Rockefeller would suddenly insist, seemingly out of the blue, that they needed to move again. I mean, you can move. I'm not going nowhere. You can go live in the woods. No. Especially if she's paying for everything. I'm not moving. Who are you? You're not even paying the damn bills. You just want to move? I don't understand. Boss served Rockefeller with divorce papers in 2007. Good for her. Since her husband was jobless and a complete mystery, Boss was awarded full custody. In 2008, I'll never get it together. Clark Rockefeller was enjoying one of the 3 court-approved visitations with his daughter as his ex-wife waited in a Boston hotel room nearby. While walking through Boston Common, Rockefeller disappeared with his daughter. Shut up. Shut up. Investigators attempted to track down Rockefeller. They found more questions than answers. He didn't have a social security card. Of course not. A driver's license or even a credit card in his own name. When his picture was shown on the news asking for leads, callers gave at least 4 different identities to go with the man shown on screen. Investigators were flummoxed. I don't know what that word means. If you know what it means, tell me down in the description box. I'll see it. I'll learn something new. Then a friend came forward with what would become crucial evidence. Rockefeller had a glass of wine at his house the night before, and the glass had not been washed. Police lifted prints off the glass and got a match to one Christian Karl. I'm not going to even try to pronounce. Yeah, I am. Gerhard Strider, a German immigrant who had come to the United States almost 30 years earlier. Ugh. We're not going to keep saying his name. What's his first name again? Well, we're going to call him Rockefeller because I can say that name. Rockefeller grew up, remember his real name's not Rockefeller though, grew up in a middle-class family in a small town in Germany. He moved to the U.S. as a teenager, where he stayed with a Connecticut family while claiming to be an exchange student at a local high school. Shut up. He later got married and divorced, landing a green card, and moved to Los Angeles under the name of Christopher Chichester. Sounds right. He made himself at home in an upper-class neighborhood, weaving a tale of royal English ancestry and proclaiming himself a TV producer. Shut up, dude. Apparently, you can just go around and say you're anything. We see that too, right? Like, how many crime stories have you heard about people saying like they're a fucking doctor and they go work in a hospital? Like, what? Like, who's not checking these credentials? Because when I worked in medical, like when I worked in the doctor, they checked all my stuff, right? They went digging. They went digging deep. Like, they wanted to know everything about me, okay? They checked my fingerprints. Like, how are these people doing this stuff? I don't understand. Like, how are they getting away with this? I don't understand. Anyways, he made himself at home. Oh yeah, we already read that. Claiming himself a TV producer. That's just insane to me. He lived in the back house of a woman named Dee Dee Sohas. Her son and daughter-in-law, John and Linda Sohas, lived in the property as well. The two went missing in 1985, and Christopher Chuck Heister disappeared shortly afterwards. Of course he did. The skeletal remains of the couple were discovered in the backyard of the house in 1994. Shut up, dude. But by that time, Christopher Chuck Hester had become Christopher Crowe. What? Crowe worked at and was fired from a number of high-level jobs on Wall Street with no degree, no experience, and no social security number. You know, I'm just flabbergasted. How? How is nobody checking this? As people began to catch wind of his act, and investigators tracked Sohas's missing truck back to him, he disappeared again, later turning up in Sandra Boss's life as Clark Rockefeller. This man, he's just the man of many different names, huh? After a 5-day manhunt for him and his kidnapped daughter, Clark Rockefeller had become Chip Smith. He's not even getting creative with these names no more. But his newest alias didn't last long. The owner of the carriage house he rented called investigators, and Snooks was safely returned to her mother, while Christian Christopher Clark Chip was finally taken into custody. Rockefeller was convicted of kidnapping his daughter as well as the murder of John Sohas. Linda's body has never been found. He is serving a sentence of 27 years to life in prison. Okay, to life. He better be in there for life, because he got away with some fucking shit, man. And committing all kinds of fraud and stuff too. Like, what? How? I don't understand. Anyways, I don't remember this one either. I don't remember. I have not heard of any of these stories. Hold on. All right. So the next story says, for 23 years, Sherry Rasmussen's case was dismissed as a robbery gone wrong. And here's a picture of her. So it says, on February 24th, 1986, that's 3 years after I was born, John Rutten had been trying to get a hold of his wife, Sherry Rasmussen, all day. But because she hadn't felt good earlier, he didn't think too much of the fact that she didn't answer any of his many phone calls. Pulling into the garage of their Los Angeles area home, he noticed glass on the ground and Rasmussen's car missing. Still, he assumed she'd merely hit her mirror while backing out. Then, Rutten noticed the entry door was slightly ajar. He entered the house and called out his wife's name, just before he saw her lying on the floor, motionless. Her face was bloodied and bruised. She had a bullet hole straight through her chest. Oh my God. He desperately checked for a pulse, but she was gone. In disbelief, he called 911. Same. I would have did the same thing. I would have started chest compressions too. The detective assigned to the case was Lyle Mayer. He carefully documented the scene and made note of the electronics stacked in the living room near Rasmussen's body. To him, it was clear that whoever committed the crime had intended to leave with those items and for whatever reason had not grabbed them upon exiting the scene. He interviewed Rutten, her newlywed husband, to do his due diligence, but in just a matter of days, he declared the incident to be one of a burglary gone wrong. You know, they always say it's the spouse. It's always the spouse. And they probably didn't even dig into it, I bet you. Nope, they just, I'm assuming they just closed the case, because it says for 23 years, the case went unsolved. And, oh no, they didn't close it. They thought it was burglary. Yeah, that's right. For 23 years, the case went unsolved until Los Angeles Police Department detectives took another look at the case as part of their cold case homicide unit in 2009. It was then that they noticed the inconsistencies. Sherry had a bite mark on her arm which likely fit a woman, and most burglaries are carried out by men. You know, I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not touching it. Just remember, this is not me. This is a story. I'll put the link down in the description box. You can come for them. So anyways, And most burglaries are carried out by men. Rutten's ex-girlfriend, Stephanie Lazarus, had been paying unannounced visits to John's home. And the shattered glass on the ground that Rutten had seen was from a bullet traveling from inside the house, not outside, and as might be expected with a break-in. Suddenly, detectives had a prime suspect for what was apparently now premeditated murder, Stephanie Lazarus, a fellow detective of the LAPD. Shut up. Oh, dirty cops, man. Dirty cops. Ugh. Ugh. Before bringing her in for questioning, the detectives did some more digging. Sure enough, Lazarus had been off duty on the day of Rasmussen's murder, and just a few weeks after the crime, she had reported a gun stolen. Of course she did. She's setting it all up, man. Presumably before she had ditched the murder weapon. Detectives interviewed Lazarus under the guise of a friendly chat amongst colleagues. They told Lazarus, who worked in art theft, that they wanted her help on a case. She gave vague answers about how well she knew or remembered John Rutten or his wife. Even when asked about reports of her jealousy confronting Rasmussen over her relationship with John. But detectives didn't need her confession. They already had a positive match to her DNA. I love it. I love it. I love it. In 2012, Stephanie Lazarus was found guilty of murdering Sherry Rasmussen and given a sentence of 27 years to life in prison. Ha, ha, ha. She thought she got away with it. You know, it's always the cops, too. They always think that they can get away with it. Oh my God, my fucking GoPro is gonna die. Wait, did I bring that other battery with me? I thought I brought the other battery with me. Didn't I bring the other battery with me? No, I didn't. Shut the front door. Where is my other cord? Maybe I can plug it in. Because I don't know how much time we have left. We're just going to keep going. Because I don't know how much of the story is left. But we're just going to keep going. I'm not going to try to switch batteries. Because then I'm going to have to restart the stream. And that's going to be a mess. Let's just try to get it done. So, it's because I talk too much. Anyways, the Innocence Project may have put an innocent man behind bars, is the next story. In 1982, teenage sweethearts Marilyn Green and Jerry Hillard were found murdered in Washington Park in Chicago. Anthony Porter was sentenced to death after being found guilty of the slayings in 1983. I was born in 83. Oh, nearby lightning, huh? There's a really bad storm going on right now, too. Well, I wouldn't say bad, but I think it's more around us. But I keep getting all these notifications from the Weather Channel that there's lightning. And I'm like, oh. But I haven't heard anything. Well, anyways, let's see, blah, blah, blah. On the eve of his execution, he received a stay of execution from the Illinois Supreme Court, citing concerns about his low IQ. After Porter received the stay on his execution, journalism students at Northwestern University and participants in the Medial Innocence Project looked at his case. The students, led by their professor David Prostus, obtained new evidence and identified who they believed was the real killer, a man named Alstory Simon. Oh, that was the man that was pictured. Okay, so Alstory Simon was the guy in the picture. Okay. Showing up at Simon's home. Did I show you the picture? Hold on. I don't know if did I show you? I don't think I showed you the picture. So this is what the guy looks like. Failing. Okay, now I gotta go back and find my spot. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Showing up at Simon's home, the self-declared investigators told him they had all of the evidence proving his guilt and that the police were on their way to arrest him. Simon confessed to the killings and the confession was caught on tape. It's worth noting that the new evidence obtained included a statement from Simon's now ex-wife and her incarcerated nephew, putting Simon at the scene of the crime. The statement was later recanted. To obtain his confession, the students showed Simon video proof of another witness who said Simon committed the crime. However, the witness was an actor that the students had hired. Despite their shoddy and legally questionable detective work, the students with the Innocence Project were successful and getting Alstory Simon convicted of homicide and clearing Porter's name. Oh, wonderful. Simon quickly realized that he'd been duped into confessing. He'd been promised a short prison sentence and subsequent big money from the investigators, which failed to materialize. His defense lawyer was also a personal friend of the private investigator working with the students and asked him to take a plea deal. Simon served 15 years in prison until the county prosecutor took another look at the case and vacated his conviction, in part due to a documentary investigation into the case, A Murder in the Park. The film showed that the journalism students neglected to interview witnesses who put Anthony Porter at the scene and didn't fit their narrative, and suggest that Porter may have been the guilty party all along. In 2014, Simon was finally a free man, and he promptly initiated a defamation lawsuit against the Middle Innocence Project in the school, settling for a confidential amount. According to the lawsuit, with the blessing of the Northwestern University, David Protas, I think I said his name 3 different ways, framed an innocent man, Simon, so that death row inmate Anthony Porter could become a poster boy for the bid to end executions in Illinois. Wait, I thought they still do executions in Illinois. So anyways, hey, wait, can I see how much battery I have left? Hold on, I want to see how much battery I have left, because I think it tells me. Right? Ugh, I don't think it does. I was hoping that it would tell me how much battery I had left on the GoPro. Okay. Well. Oh, shoot. Anyways, okay. I'll stop monkeying around with stuff because we're running out of battery. I don't even know where we're at. I just know it's in the red. So, the next story is about Carolyn Watson spent 6 days believing she and her boyfriend had been abducted by a satanic cult. Shut the front door. A cult. You know, they always got to bring a cult into this, right? And it's always satanic. Satanic. I can't talk. Carolyn Watson, 17, and her boyfriend, Julian Butchwald, 22, were avid churchgoers in the area of Melbourne, Australia. Oh, I'm definitely not. Never heard of this one. It happened in Australia. They'd been dating for 2 years when Butchwald invited Watson on a romantic picnic in the Australian countryside. As they were driving, Butchwald stopped briefly and got out to inspect a dead animal on the side of the road. You know, I have a buddy named Clarence that does that. Hi, Clarence. The next thing Watson knew, she was being blindfolded and tied up by a balaclava masked man. I don't know what that is either. Well, I'll look that up later in editing. Well, you know, I don't do much editing, but when I'm going back and putting in the chapters and the end scene and all that, I'm gonna look that up. Who then stripped off her clothes, threw her in the back of a truck, and drove. When the vehicle finally stopped, Watson's blindfold was removed by her boyfriend. Butchwald, too, was nude and claimed they had both been taken by a satanic cult and left alone in the wilderness. He managed to untie himself and helped her do the same. The pair wandered through the Butchland for almost a week, despite the fact that both were very religious and had pledged to not have sex before marriage. Butchwald continuously suggested they get married and consummate it then and there in order to stay warm. The frightening debacle came to an end when the duo were found by a farmer who alerted the police. At first, Butchwald continued his claim that the two had been kidnapped. Police did have a letter left at Watson's parents' house, supposedly sent by a kidnapper, that had satanic markings all over it. But before being confronted by police with their suspicions, Butchwald quickly gave up the act and admitted he had staged the whole thing. What? You know what? I do know this story. Don't let me lie. I know this story. I don't know where I heard this story at before, but I know this story. Oh yeah, I should have, you know, it kind of clicked in my head when he kept trying to pressure her into having sex, right? Like, that shouldn't be the first thing on your mind after you've just been kidnapped and you're in the middle of nowhere. Okay, just saying. When asked why he would have put his girlfriend through the ordeal, He admitted he was trying to convince her to marry him so that he could put that celibacy stuff behind them once and for all. That is sick. You went through all that. All of that. I can't. Anyways, the next story. Russ Farah was convicted of killing his wife, but the real culprit was the prosecution's star witness. Ooh, here's a picture of this guy too. So, Betsy Farah and her husband of 10 years, Russ Farah, spent Christmas 2011 together. Earlier that year, Betsy had received a terminal cancer diagnosis. Aww. And despite the fact that the two had plenty of ups and downs in their marriage, they were determined to make the most of their remaining time together. 2 days later, that remaining time was cut short. Russ made a frantic call to 911. He said he had come home from his weekly game night with friends and found Betsy lying dead in the Missouri home. She had been stabbed more than 60 times with a kitchen knife still protruding from her neck. Oh my God, dude. Oh God. I'm already getting bad vibes here. He told the 911 dispatcher that he feared she'd taken her own life due to her diagnosis. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Investigators didn't agree and found Russ's behavior suspicious. Same. They arrested him for his wife's murder. Her friend and the last person to see her alive, Pamela Hupp, was a lead witness for the prosecution. She claimed Betsy had recently made her the beneficiary of her life insurance policy so that she could then pass the money to Betsy's daughters from a previous marriage and bypass Russ. Furthermore, she helped detectives find a document on Betsy's computer that detailed her alleged fear of her husband. The jury bought it, and Russ Farah was convicted of killing Betsy. You know, Betsy was my grandma's name. I haven't heard that name in a long time. Well, anyways, Russ appealed and eventually won a retrial, in which he was found not guilty. He was freed after spending nearly 4 years in prison. Shortly thereafter, the truth started to come out in 2016 when Hupp shot and killed Louis Gumpenberger inside her home, saying he was a hitman hired by Russ to go after her. Shut up. Shut up. Gumpenberger was actually a mentally impaired man that Hupp had lured into her home to further implicate Russ. Hupp eventually pled guilty to Gumpenberger's murder, and as of 2021 is awaiting the trial for the murder of Betsy Farah. Prosecutors believe Hupp inserted herself into Betsy's life out of greed, killing her while she was weak after a chemotherapy appointment and framing Russ. None of the insurance money that Hupp received ever went to Betsy's daughters. That's sick. Police have also reevaluated the death of Hupp's 77-year-old mother, who mysteriously fell from a balcony. Hupp was the last to see her alive. That is sick. That is sick, but you know what? That sounds like another story. I wonder if it's the same one. I think it's the same one. It was the friend, and the friend, like, was all about going to, like, her chemo appointments with her and shit. Like, that was on Unsolved Mysteries. So anyways, the next story says, Nettie Nance was 24 when she discovered she was actually Carlina White. Oh, I know this story too. At age 17, Nettie Nance was a senior in high school and pregnant with her daughter. Excited to become a mother, she sought out necessary prenatal care. To take advantage of the state benefits, she asked her own mother for her birth certificate. Her mother stalled, and Nettie became impatient, rummaging through her mother's things herself. When she brought the birth certificate she had found into the Bureau of Vital in New Haven, Connecticut. That is a mouthful. She was accused of using a false identity. Her mother, Ann Petway, explained that Nettie's biological parents had abandoned her, which was why she didn't have the appropriate birth certificate. The real story was a little more complicated. Carlina White was born to Joy White and Carl Tyson, a healthy 8 pounds on July 15, 1987. A couple of weeks later, Carlina spiked a high fever. Her parents brought her back into Harlem Hospital, where a nurse told them that Carlina would need to spend the night in the hospital. The nurse didn't have a name tag and an odd demeanor, but the tired young couple didn't think too much about it. Tyson went home to sleep before work, and White went to grab a few things before returning to the hospital. Just a little over an hour after they had left, Carlina went missing. And you know, if I'm correct, I could be wrong. But I do believe that this is the reason that they put the ankle bracelets on the baby, so that they can't leave the floor. It may not be just this one, it might be many, but I feel like it was this one that really kind of paved the way for that. I could be wrong. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Just a little over an hour after they had left, Carlina went missing. The one lead detectives had fizzled quickly, and no other traces of the baby or a suspect were found. White and Tyson, both depressed and angry, eventually drifted apart, each of them blaming the other for their pain. Ann Petway grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and had a minor record. In 1987, she told friends and family she was pregnant, and shortly thereafter had a baby as proof. No one knew who the father was, and she didn't say. Her 2004 pregnancy and subsequent revelation from Petway started Nettie's own private search for her true identity. The family, aunts and uncles, cousins and grandparents that she'd grown up with couldn't give her any more information about her past. But one of her aunts did encourage her to call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That phone call led to pictures shared and swabs of DNA being taken. The DNA proved Nettie Nance was indeed Carlina White, and her parents were overjoyed to know she was alive and well. Carl Tyson and Joy White were reunited with their daughter in 2011 after she'd been missing for 23 years. And the next one, I don't think I know this one either. Oh, what happened? Oh no. Oh no, what happened? What happened? We don't have time for the shenanigans. The GoPro is gonna die. Oh my god. I don't know what happened. It just scrolled all the way down there. Okay, we read the one about the cult. We read about the prosecution's star witness being the killer. We read about Carlina White. I knew that story too. That was on Unsolved Mysteries. Okay, so this next story says, Jennifer Pan seemed like the perfect daughter, but she'd been living a double life. Jennifer Pan was raised in Canada by her... Oh, wait, I didn't show you the picture. Hold on. This is her. Okay. It says, Jennifer Pan was raised in Canada by her parents. Oh, I'm not going to be able to pronounce their names. And that one's going to... I'm not going to be able to pronounce her parents' names. I'm not even going to try because the one name looks like I'm not going to say it right. I'm just going to... No. She lived in Canada with her parents, both immigrants from Vietnam. They earned enough to buy a home in an upscale neighborhood, drive nice cars, and pay for their daughter's skating and piano lessons. The parents had worked hard and expected their child to do the same. To outward appearances, the Pans seemed like the perfect, high-achieving household. So the night of November 8th, 2010 came as a shock. 3 armed men rushed into the Pan house. They tied Jennifer Pan to a banister upstairs and shot both of her parents. Her mother passed instantly, but against the odds, her father survived. But as investigators spoke with him in the hospital, he had a strange memory. Before losing consciousness, he remembered seeing his daughter chatting amicably to one of the intruders. It turned out that while Pan seemed to meet her parents' high expectations, she'd been living a double life. Pan kept her academics a secret from her parents. They believed she was a straight-A student, but she earned mostly B's and failed calculus her senior year. You know what? I do know this story. Because of that, Ryerson University rescinded its offer of acceptance. Fearing their reaction, she never told her parents any of this and went through the motions of college life, attending freshman welcome week, buying school books, and telling them she'd received scholarships so no tuition was owed. Huh, that's slick. She'd packed up her school bag and head out for the day, going to the library or visiting her boyfriend, or even working a part-time job. Pan continued the lie for more than 2 years, even telling her parents she had been accepted to the pharmacology program at the University of Toronto. Eventually, her academic career was revealed to be the fiction that it was. Her parents were outraged. Not long afterward, her boyfriend of 7 years, Daniel Wong, broke up with her. Pan was devastated. After reconnecting with an old high school friend, she started imagining life without her father, whom she blamed for her current situation. Pan later reconnected with Wong, and the two began exchanging text messages about killing her parents. Wong had a friend whom he referred to as Homeboy, who would be willing to complete that hit for $10,000. On the night in question, Pan unlocked the door for the intruders. Pan was eventually arrested, and soon, Wong and all of Pan's accomplices were apprehended as well. During the lengthy trial, Pan's many lies and personalities were revealed. The case also sparked media debate about parenting and the psychological impact of pressure on kids. She received 2 life sentences, one for the death of her mother and a second for the attempted murder of her father. Her sentence includes a non-communication order as well. She is forbidden from contacting her father or brother unless they want her to. Wow, that's insane. But I've heard that story too. All right, next story. Bernice Novak's death was ruled an accident until her son was found dead 3 months later. And this one just shows a hotel. Or maybe it's not a hotel. Maybe it's an apartment building. That would be one hell of an elaborate apartment building, though. Pretty sure it's a hotel. Bernice Novak, it doesn't say either. It says, this tells you who took the picture. Yeah, it doesn't say where it is. Alright. Bernice Novak was the widow of famed Fontainebleau builder Ben Novak Sr. The famous Miami Beach hotel launched the 2 Novaks into the world of celebrities, athletes, presidents, and foreign dignitaries. God, they're really giving me a lot of... They're really trying to get me. Bernice and Ben lived a glamorous life until Ben passed of heart and lung failure in 1985. For years after his death, Bernice lived a quiet life in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But in 2009, Bernice was found dead in her home at the age of 86. I mean, she was 86. Could have been old age. Let's see. Investigators chalked it up to a bad fall that led to a lethal amount of brain damage. Nobody asked questions or thought anything differently. That is until her son, Ben Novak Jr., was found murdered just 3 months later. What the fuck is going on here? Despite Bernice's wealth and prior fame, the authorities hadn't even considered that the matriarch may have been murdered. A hard-hitting and motivated journalist, Julie Knipe Brown, exposed the investigative deficiencies, but her suspicions weren't taken seriously until the police in Rybrook, where Ben Jr. was killed, contacted the investigators of Bernice's death with some interesting news. They had a suspect in custody who had confessed to killing Ben Jr. at the behest of someone else. The hired killer also said he'd killed Bernice and gave details on the type of weapon he used and how she died. Finally, authorities took a closer look at the case. The following year, Ben's estranged wife, Nancy Novak, was arrested for the death of her husband and her mother-in-law. Shut the fuck up, dude. Her brother was also arrested, and the two were found guilty of arranging the murder of the 2 Novaks. The defense had claimed that the real culprit was Nancy's daughter from a previous marriage. May Abad, who wanted to cash in on her stepfather's vast estate, which included expensive Batman memorabilia. The prosecution argued that Narcy had feared her husband would leave her for his mistress, cutting her out of the family wealth. Narcy is serving a life sentence. And you know what? Oh, I guess it's not. I thought it was the last one. Oh my God, look at all these. I'm saving you the trouble of all these ads. Like, you know I put the links in there, right? But I promise you, there's a whole bunch of ads. So I'm just saving you the trouble of that headache. But anyways, here's the picture of the next story. And we all know how much time I have spent in cemeteries this last year. This last year, I've spent so much time in cemeteries. Mostly exploring, okay? Not really all... Anyways. Yeah, like how I spent like 2 days looking for Lynn Stone in Greenwood Cemetery. Yeah, like that. Alright, so the next story says, after Lynn Turner's boyfriend passed from a mysterious illness, her late husband's body was exhumed. Glenn Turner was 28 and had recently accomplished his dream of becoming a police officer in Cobb County, Georgia. When he met Lynn Turner, he thought his life was complete. The two were married in 1993, despite hesitation and concerns from his family and closest friends. Lynn had been cold towards them and controlling of Glenn, in their opinion. But still, Glenn went ahead with the nuptials and made Lynn his life insurance beneficiary. The marriage, it turned out, would be short-lived. Lynn ran up large bills on their credit cards and spent less and less time at home. Rumors were flying that she was having an affair or multiple affairs, perhaps even seeing some of Glenn's co-workers. Shut up, dude. Shut up. Oh my God. By the end of the year, Glenn Turner had accepted that his marriage was failing, and he told his family he was going to leave Lynn. Shortly thereafter, he came down with the worst flu of his life, telling friends he could hardly walk or talk. He was so ill. Not long after, he was found deceased in his bed. Why does this story sound familiar? Not long after he was found deceased in his bed. On the day of the funeral, Lynn made a phone call about Glenn's life insurance policy while en route to the cemetery. That's throwing up red flags all over the place. You're doing that on your way to the cemetery. Yep. I didn't even think about money when I was going through all that shit with my mom. Like, money was the last thing on my mind. Like, they're like, oh, you know, this costs this much. And I'm like, you know what? It's just money. We have the whole rest of our lives to make money. I don't care about money. I do not care about money. That was the last thing on my mind when I was planning a funeral. Just saying. So, for her to be all talking about life insurance stuff, that came much later. That was not... Yeah. Anyways, while some may have suspected Lynn, there was no evidence of any foul play. But 6 years later, a former co-worker of Glenn's learned that Lynn had been seeing a firefighter named Randy Thompson and was pregnant with his child. See, I knew something was dirty about her. The couple had 2 children and remained together for about 5 years. Although they never married, Lynn did convince Thompson to get a life insurance policy. She was the beneficiary. He must not know. He must not know that she's a black widow. Eventually, Thompson decided the relationship was no longer working. He moved into his own place, and not long afterward, he came down with the flu. I'm sorry to break it to him, but that was not the flu. Just like Glenn Turner, Thompson passed in his bed shortly thereafter. I think I know this story. Glenn's mother, Kathy, contacted Thompson's family to share the tragic coincidence. Glenn's family urged authorities to have his body exhumed so a full autopsy could be done. Samples taken from Thompson's tissues were compared with samples taken from Glenn Turner. Oxalate crystals were found in tissue samples from both bodies, making one thing clear. Both men had perished of antifreeze poisoning, not the flu. Lynn Turner was found guilty of both murders and sentenced to life in prison. Good for them. Hey, didn't we already read? We did. We already read a story like this, but this is funny because that was kind of how they found. Okay. So if you've been here the whole time, we already had a story about chewing gum. They used chewing gum to essentially get DNA from a little girl to find out that she belonged to somebody else, in case you missed that. So we've already heard a story about chewing gum, but here's another one apparently. It says, and you know what? There's no there's no picture. You're not missing anything. It literally just tells you. It's weird. And a lot of ads, okay? I'm saving you a headache, okay? So, chewing gum helped solve a 34-year-old cold case. In 1976, Blanche Kimball's neighbors started to worry. Nobody had seen their friendly 70-year-old neighbor in quite some time. They called police to her Augusta Is that Maryland? Is ME Maryland? Or is that MD? No, it's MD. Maryland's MD. What's ME? Minnesota? No, I thought that was MI. Well, whatever ME is. Home, where they found a gruesome scene. Kimball had been brutally stabbed to death and was lying in a puddle of her own blood. Neighbors were shocked and police were befuddled. Never heard befuddled before. Pictures of the scene were taken and evidence was collected, but investigators could not make an arrest. The lone suspect they could come up with was a homeless man who had briefly lived in Kimball's home well before the murder. He was seen breaking into a house in the neighborhood not long after the murder, but he fled town before he could be apprehended. With the only suspect nowhere to be found, the case went cold. 34 years later, in 2010, Gary Robb was homeless, living on the streets of Seattle. He got into a physical altercation with another homeless man, cutting his stomach with his knife. The victim fled the scene, but police took Robb into custody and entered his knife into evidence. That's when a match came up between the DNA on Robb's knife and the DNA left behind at the Kimball's house and the murder scene. When cold case investigators in Maine saw the DNA belonging to Robb, who had gone as Gary Robert Wilson in the 1970s, they finally had their second chance. With help from Seattle authorities, the Maine State Police approached Robb on the street and asked if he would like to participate in a chewing gum survey. Shut up. Robb was game and he unknowingly chewed on a couple of pieces of gum for the detectives, handing them the exact fresh DNA they needed. Robb was arrested and convicted of the murder of Blanche, finally closing one of Maine's... Oh, it was Maine! Oh, it was Maine. I didn't even think about Maine. M-E is Maine. Finally closing one of Maine's oldest cold cases. And you know what? On that note, that was the very last story. And the first couple ones I hadn't heard of before. And then we started getting into more cases that I do know. Because I do watch a lot of true crime stuff myself. And paranormal stuff. And I loved Unsolved Mysteries. And X-Files. I grew up on that stuff. So anyways, on that note, I'm going to get off of here. Because I know the GoPro's going to die. And I'm the only one currently in the room. Everybody left. So, let's see. I already know my GoPro's dying. Trying to think. I have to record several videos. One of them being the tragedy of the Knight family. I still haven't did that. And then the other one was more stuff to add to our haunted bucket list. I'm excited about that too. You know, I can't wait to start this whole haunted bucket list thing. And my new job is very flexible. So if I'm like, hey, I need this weekend off or something, I just don't have to pick up. It's great. I'm super excited about this new job and the opportunity it's going to give me. I'm making more money and it's very flexible with my time so that I can start traveling again. We already know how I love to travel, and I am really getting some cabin fever being back in the basement again. You know, I mean, it's nice because I don't have to look over my shoulder being out in public, but I want to start the Roadside America app again. You know, I got all the ones in this area done. So let's see. I think the only one I hadn't did yet was the Anderson Japanese Garden, but I was waiting for that to open. That opened at the beginning of May. And then, you know, stuff happens, as always. So I didn't end up going. There's a couple more places in Rockford I'm going to hit. Then we're going outside the area. Now, the one thing I am really excited about, and I'm going to make it a fucking point to go, is June 22nd is the anniversary of my mom's death. It's going to be 1 year that my mom's been gone on June 22nd. And I have been racking my brain of what I could do that day. You know, I'm going to do the balloon release because that's what I wanted to do. I want to do a balloon release. And, but I was like, what else am I going to do? I don't want to be at home crying all day, because that's what's going to happen if I stay home. But I found out that on June 22nd, that Haunted Rockford is going to be at the Historic Auto Attraction Museum. They're going to do a paranormal investigation there, and Kathy's going to be there. So I really want to go. So I'm going to make it a point to get out of my little hermit hole that I've been living in and go to this paranormal investigation. And I'm going to meet Kathy. I've been saying it. I can't wait to meet her. I've read both of her books now. And everybody that I've met here in Rockford, when I mention her, they're like, oh, you're going to love her. Because, you know, I tell them, like, my, you know, about me, like, what I'm interested in, you know. And they're like, oh, you're going to love her. She's going to be right up your alley to meet her and just pick her brain, because she's been all over Rockford. She's done investigations everywhere. And I'm really excited about the Historic Auto Attraction paranormal investigation that they're... Actually, hold on. I think I saved it. Did I save it? Did I save it? I might have saved it. Oh my god. No, I didn't. I know it was $30. I know it's from... Hold on. Historic Auto Attraction. It wasn't... It is a paranormal investigation, but they called it something else. Something Cars and something. Cars and Cadavers. That's what it was. Cars and Cadavers. And we know that's all up my alley. Okay. So, well, I know it's currently closed. Okay. Where is this? Oh, yep. So, it's on the hauntedrockford.com website. But if you go in there, here, I'll just show you. So if you go in there, it shows you that they're doing this Cars and Cadavers Paranormal Evening at the Historic Auto Attraction Museum, June 22nd. That's my sign. This is what I'm supposed to do. June 22nd from 7 to 10 p.m. It's $30. I'm super stoked about this. I'm going to see how much they'll let me record, because I know I can record in the Historic Auto Attraction Museum. I've already been there. Maybe I should link my Historic Auto Attraction video to this one, so that way, I don't know, I've been there. And I kind of didn't take a lot of video. I took more pictures than anything. That was still back in, you know, before I was out recording. Because I was still, I don't know. I'm getting better about recording out in public. I just ignore everything around me. I'm really good at it. But if you're ever out in public, please come say hi to me. Don't just stand there and stare at me, because I'm going to think you're a weirdo or something. I'm just saying, because I've had people just, like, stand over here and, like, stare at me, and I'm like, why are they staring? Do they know me? Do they think they know me? Do I look like somebody? But if you see me out in public, you already know. I already told you. What did I tell you? It's rough out here. Come give your girl a hug, because I really need it. Especially this month. So if you see me, especially this month, come give me a hug, because I'm really gonna need it. Okay? Gonna need all the support I can get right now. But anyway, so I'm super excited about this whole Cars and Cadavers thing at the Historic Auto Attraction Museum. And then I get to talk to Kathy, and I'm super stoked about that. But the other thing that they have in here is, you know, if you've ever been here or you've never been here, if you've never been here, I'll link that video so that way you guys can at least get an idea. But they keep old historic cars here, okay? Not just cars though. They have old historic pieces. Like, they have a lot of JFK memorabilia. They have a lot of an Elvis car there with a lot of Elvis memorabilia, like his clothes that he would wear. When you walk into the Elvis area, it starts playing his music. So like when you walk into different areas, it's like scenes for that area, and it's really cool. And I heard that Volo is like that, and I really want to go to Volo as well, and I can't wait to go there. But we found something to do on June 22nd, so that I'm have something to look forward to, and that makes me extremely happy, because I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, this week is rough. My son's graduating. It's the end of, essentially, I now have an adult. I still have my daughter, so I'm like halfway there with her because she's 9. So I'm like, he's graduating, my sister's leaving, there's all this stuff going on, and then the anniversary of my mom. So I'm like all ready to just have something to look forward to, and I think I found it. But they're also going to have psychics there, and it says okay, so I've already heard of both of these because I've read Kathy's like books. I've read them to you. So essentially, if you've been watching my videos, you've heard her books too, because I read them to you. Okay. And then took you around Rockford and shown you the good, the bad, the ugly. There's that. That was my whole goal of that. But the 2 psychics that are gonna be there are, let's see how good they are. I'm just gonna walk by them and see if they pick up anything, because I'm like pretty sure, maybe not all the time, but there's plenty of times that I just feel like my mom's by me, right? I'll get like this calm feeling, like when you're at home, even when I'm not at home. Like I'll be out in the world somewhere and I'll just like get this instantly calming feeling. I'm like, oh, I think my mom's by me or something, like I don't know if that's what it's like. I don't know. I'm just curious to see what these psychics can do though, and see what they tell me, because I feel like I'm not gonna go in there and be like, hey, I lost my mom, I lost my grandpa, it was traumatic. I'm just gonna go in there and act like I'm a huge fan, because for one, I am a fan of Kathy's, and I am super excited to meet her, and it's gonna be great. I just can't wait to pick her brain, and I'm gonna stay afterwards so I can talk to her. And I'm hoping, I really wanted to reach out to her beforehand, because she has all of her contact information on her website. It's all there. I could reach out to her, but I want to meet her at one of these events. I feel like that's the way to go about it, because I want her to, you can message somebody something, but you don't get the emotion, you don't get the excitement, you don't see that I'm thrilled about what you're doing, and that I'm super impressed. Like I've been meeting a lot of people lately that I'm very impressed by. Like my new boss is very impressive. I've met some people out going and doing this that are very impressive. Like these people are really cool. Like I like going out and meeting cool people, right? I ignore the assholes out in the world. I was driving down by the Discovery Center the other day, and this lady was walking down the middle of the street. I think I was talking about this. She was walking down the middle of the fucking street. It's a one-way street, and there's a sidewalk, a huge sidewalk. It wasn't even a tiny sidewalk, and it's like June. Okay, it's nice, right? Like, she's walking down the street, middle of the street, and I slowed down, and I honked at her, like, hey, the fuck you doing? Like, beep beep. She double flipped me off. I'm like, what? Because you were walking down the middle of the road, I slowed down and honked at you, okay? Because you're obviously oblivious that there's a car coming at you, and then you double flip me off. That's how Rockford is, if you guys want to know in a nutshell. So, I told her what I thought about her and how stupid she was for not being on the sidewalk to begin with, and some other explicit things, because, you gotta be that way with people sometimes, especially when I didn't even do anything wrong. I wasn't the one walking out in the middle of the fucking street. I know better. Anyways, just be careful when you're here. Also, I'm gonna do the, record a couple more videos, and we were talking about we're gonna add to the haunted bucket list, because we're gonna, I kind of want to figure out a way to incorporate the roadside attraction app with my haunted bucket list and kind of like sync it up and make like, I'm not gonna say like an event, but like make it like a real like trip, like a vacation, like almost itinerary style, but not, because you know I don't like being rushed. I like to explore. I want to go and do all this stuff, and I want to go explore all that stuff, and I can't wait to take you guys with me. I don't have anything else, and I'm really surprised that the GoPro's not dead yet. So anyways, we've been recording for an hour and 15 minutes. We're doing great, and I really appreciate you sitting here with me and chilling and sitting here talking about some twisted stories. Some of these, most of them I had heard. There was what, a couple that hadn't heard. It's fine, but I am going to get off of here. I started early. I started an hour and 15 minutes early, you know, actually more than that, because I was aiming for 8, and I was like, you know what, I'm not doing anything right now, let's start early and then go longer. And then now the GoPro's dying. You know how it is. It's always something. It's always something. Anyways, I appreciate you and your time. Thank you so much for joining me on another Twisted Tuesday Tales. And let's see, Saturday we're gonna live stream. Saturday I haven't found any, I shouldn't say found, I just haven't figured out what I'm gonna talk about yet. I have a lot of stuff that I need to get off my phone. I'm trying to get all these stories off my phone, because I was just kind of putting everything in there and then working on all the books. Like we went through Kathy's books, we went through a different book. I don't know, we've been going through a lot of books, so I wanted to get away from books. I was like, let's do these stories, like these articles I keep saving and I mean to talk about and then I don't. So Saturday we'll talk about something. I don't know what it's gonna be yet. I'll do some sleuthing and then we'll figure it out. Oh, was there anything else? Next week starts my official first day of work. Monday, well actually Thursday, I'm going for a meet and greet, because they do everything different here. It's amazing. I'm already excited, super excited. They do everything the right way. It's the right way. You know, don't just send strangers to people's houses and then just expect them to get along. So we're gonna do a meet and greet Thursday, and I'm gonna go meet my new client. She's gonna meet me. We're gonna get to interact. They're gonna tell me what they want, you know, what they expect of me, like what they need help with or whatever, and then show me the house. And then Monday would be my first day. So I'm very excited. Everything's going very well, and fingers crossed it just keeps going this way, because I couldn't be happier right now. Like, it's great, because I was down in the dumps for a while, and I feel like everything's starting to turn around. And hopefully for those that are also struggling, maybe this will be a glimmer of hope that, you know, there's some massive fucking storms going on, but eventually the sun comes out again. You just got to keep going. You always have to remember to keep going. That somebody cares. I care. You know, like I would be fucking devastated. You don't even know. You don't know. Like, you don't even know. I would be very fucking devastated. Like, nope, can't even. That would, man. But anyways, just know that I do appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Thank you once again, and I guess I will see, Friday's video, Sunday's video already scheduled, so them two we don't even have to worry about. I'm gonna work on editing this live stream after it's done, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I don't know how good the stream has been, because like I said before, I've been lied to. You know, it looks fine on my end, and then I go in and it doesn't look good when I go back in there to add, you know, the chapters, add information or the end screen or what have you. Like, I'll start watching the video and it's all glitching. I'm like, that's not okay. The good thing about the GoPro is that even though I'm live streaming, it's saving a copy onto the camera. So if I do, and I've done this, if I do run across a bad stream, just know that I'm going to upload the good one later. And I'm going to add some razzle dazzle to it, because, you know, I feel like that's important to me, because I didn't realize it was fucked up, and I apologize, and I just want you to know that I appreciate your time. I know you guys tried to watch that other stream. I don't know what happened with that, but you know, here we are. Like, I try really hard just to maintain my integrity, right? Like, this is me. Like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If it fails, it fails. At least I did it. I'm always going to uphold that. And if I stream and it's not a good stream, just know that that good stream's going to come later off of, you know, the GoPro. And I don't know, I don't have anything else. Hopefully you guys are having a great Tuesday. Anybody have tacos today? Because that sounds delicious. I need to go eat. I haven't ate yet, and it's 8:14 here. It's 8:14 and I have not ate yet. And I pushed a car up a hill with some strange people today. So that's me. That's me. And I think I do need to start including more stuff about myself, so that way you guys also can get to know me as a person as well. And I really just try to do good stuff. I try. Sometimes I have a potty mouth. My grandma tells me all the time that I'd be pretty if I didn't have such a potty mouth. And I find